Go. Hi, David. Good
Hello there, how you doing? I,
afternoon.
it's the Two Davies plus cat.
Aye. Well, good to have you back. Let me get Facebook on board. So, how are you feeling? Good?
How am I feeling? Right at the moment, I am cock a hoop because received my wings for walking sticks, and plus that, today, just before I left, the last 15 minutes of the session, I was on one walking stick. So there you go. That's progress I'm making.
Run the book quite bank like a bam pot shortly.
Exactly. I, I'll still a bump pot anyway, but it's like I'll be a released bump pot,
Aye. Right, let's see who's in, shall we? Oh Christ, there's thousands of you already. 54 already climbing. Hi, Aki's Mags, Margaret, Eddie, Aki's Woodpet, Millie, Gillian, Graham, Christopher, Jeanette, Lorraine, Stephen, Ice Ninja, Lorraine Hay, Julie Brown, Lorraine King, Chris Fisher, Gordon. Is it? Hey, Gordon. Yeah, I've seen you around for a bit. Hey, wee bird's in. Stephen's in. Evelyn's in. First of the Facebookers is in. That's Gillian. And we've got Clog Dancing Raver and John Baxter. Okay. Right, David. We're up there 100 marks, so I guess we better get started.
Yeah, I think we should.
Now, I know you've seen this interview because we watched it together today. Kimmy Badenoch comes to Glasgow to tell us jocks that the union is voluntary, but it's not something you can just opt out of. That was among other things, of course, but I mean, I thought that was quite comical, didn't you?
The whole idea, if you imagine, it's a bit like before the election, Labour trying not to say anything bad about Israel, right? Because of the rule they've got, right? Kimmy Badenoch was trying not to say, no, you're not having a fucking referendum. We're not allowing you to go. Never, ever. And what she was doing was she was saying, oh yeah, definitely, it's a voluntary union, but you'll all stay with England and Wales and Northern Ireland, whether you like it or not.
Hi, Tina. Up in Dundee. Aye, Bill. No, that wasn't the only thing she spoke about.
No,
I mean, she was asked about the Great Reset that she was talking about on devolution.
Yep.
And to what I could fathom for what she was saying was the idea was to realign the tax system and take away the Scottish Parliaments and devolve the power to the councils.
Yeah.
That's what I took for that. And she more or less want for the First Minister to replace him by theirs. Which she said devolution wasn't meant to do, was give us another layer of politicians. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. And these people were supposed to be there to make local decisions in the interests of the people.
Yeah, she talked about the reset being in the interest of the people, and that the politicians are supposed to work for the benefit of the people. What do you think SNP have been doing since 2007?
Well, actually, according to her, the education system, the fact of the different tax systems, the scandal. We did talk about it. She did talk about immigration, and no joke, you can't have a separate system. It's the UK borders. It's no the Scotland Wales. There's no the Scotland England border, according to Kimmy Badenoch. And of course, we were also talking about taxation and immigration and how you could get people to stay within Scotland if they were sent to Scotland, and that was to give them a Scottish Specific National Insurance number, Scottish Specific Tax number, and a Scottish Specific a benefit system number. Because we have a different taxation system, we have a different benefit system, it would be very easy to do. But Kimmy said that's not doable because you'd need to put up a border.
Look, can we just say that she's as mad as a box of frogs?
And then she talks about the poor quality of politician in the Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish Parliament, forgetting to mention Westminster.
Yeah.
When it comes to really poor quality politician, she was sitting in front of Martin Geisler.
Yeah.
And if that is her idea of the cream of the crop, her and what's the rump end of the Conservative Party, I think she's probably flipped her fucking lid. What do you think?
I wouldn't listen. The reason why I didn't listen to her initially is because I don't like her. I don't like listening to her. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, you watched the interview, so fair enough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Right, let's move on, David. The Governor-General of Scotland, Ian Murray, says this week's budget will herald a decade of investment in Scotland. He is correct, of course, isn't he?
Yes, unfortunately. Yes. But nobody in Scotland will benefit from that.
No.
Yeah, let's make that absolutely clear. It's not going to happen whereby it benefits the people of Scotland.
No, because even the people that lay these cables will come from outside Scotland.
That's right.
And most of the work involved is offshore.
Yeah.
Building the interconnector on shore, and of course the huge big a transformer where the energy will go into before getting pumped into the grid.
It gets changed before it goes to the interconnector, right? You imagine it's an AC output, right? This me put my engineering head on. It gets changed to DC for connection via the interconnector, which seemingly, it seems daft to me, is the most efficient way of doing it, right? And then it gets changed back to AC when it comes out the way, right? The opposite end. So, if you want to argue with that, that's just what I've been told. Yeah.
Well, anyway, a class action, who's rightly pointed out 2 hours later, Starmer, Menno West tell Murray to shut up. But that investment will be spent in Scotland.
Yeah.
But it'll be through the transfer of wealth from our latest power boom, energy boom, from Scotland to England.
Yeah.
There will be no net benefit.
Yeah.
It won't make bills cheaper either.
And also,
because those interconnectors in Scotland, which means they're feeding power through the grid to the interconnectors, which means they're getting charged the highest to feed it into the grid to get it to that interconnection. So it's nuts. But anyway,
the figure that I heard at the moment with the interconnectors that are there, it's worth 1.7 billion to Scotland if it was charged at normal rates.
Yep. And there's going to be 2 of them, two gigawatt interconnectors.
Yep.
So we're talking about 3 billion ones.
3 billion. Yeah.
You know. So the sickening thing is, even the construction jobs and all that, they'll be done by English companies. They'll ship the people up, do the building during the week, and they'll aim at the weekend.
Yeah.
That's what happens with the workers at Coalport and Faslane.
Faslane, especially Faslane. I know that, my son, as you know, was in the army. Uh-huh. And his girlfriend is doing retraining at the moment. She was Royal Navy.
Aye.
She's up at Faslane working as a dental assistant. But they live in Darlington.
Uh-huh.
you know. So she's up here during the week, home at the weekend.
Yes.
What was that? You know.
Aye, so I said the money will be spent, but there'll be no net gain. And we've already spoke about this, David. When they talk about all these jobs in construction, it's just not there.
Yeah, I know.
The footage and the linkage for these further footage will be cast ashore, put on boats,
Yeah,
taken out, anchored, then the boat that actually puts the masts on before the generator goes on top. That's quite an interesting looking thing. It looks like a floating Roman Colosseum. These things are sticking up in the air, you know.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people who operate that boat, believe it or not. 20 or 30.
Yeah.
You know.
So because of our ability to produce automated systems, you can cut down the number of people that are required for each individual job, right?
What we've already discussed is even with onshore wind farms, once they're complete and productive, it's only a maintenance team.
Yeah.
There's no hundreds of people working there. It's a maintenance team.
Yeah.
And some of them, the maintenance teams are 8, 9 people.
Yeah.
So, they say, there will be money spent, but there'll be no net benefit to Scotland or the rest of the UK for us either. You know.
All right. I mean, the only thing you can equate that to is what's the name of the big hydroelectric system that we've got up at Lochaw? The core again.
I don't know.
You know what I'm on about? It's
Yeah.
it's the big cavern in the mountainside and all the rest of it, right?
I know what you're talking about. The thing is, for me, they're all just called Scottish Hydro.
When that was built, it was guys with pickaxes and all the rest of it that carved it out that hole in the mountainside, right? But afterwards, it didn't take that many to run it.
No.
You know, and nowadays we've got a similar thing with the wind farms where it doesn't take that many to run it once it's up and done.
No.
You know.
As I say, so this crap about major job boost and all that, and the thousands of jobs coming to Scotland, it's a lot of bollocks, folks.
Yeah. Nice.
And the reason why they're talking about oil and gas transition to these maintenance
renewables.
jobs,
Maintenance
jobs in renewables is because the skills are pretty similar.
Yeah.
You know, they're used to being offshore.
Yeah.
And they're used to greasing up big fucking drill shaped things. Well, let's face it, spinny thing. There you go.
Okay, yeah, fine, I get it. But yeah, there are similar skill sets. Of course there are.
Of course there is. You know, but Davy being Davy, you know, spinny thing, you know. So, what a bollocks for the Governor General, but that's what we expect for the Governor General. Right, let's move on. Greens withdraw support for National Care System and warn SNP over support for the budget.
The fact that they are at this time withdrawing support for the National Care System, you've also got to put in place that at the moment the big talk is a National Care System for England. And it won't happen. We won't get a national care system in Scotland until England has a national care system. It won't happen. It won't happen the other way around. So therefore, the Greens withdrawing their support for it doesn't mean anything. It was never going to happen in the first place.
Aye. No. But they say the Greens have become pretty well a pain in the arse for the SNP.
Hang on a second. Right now, looking at John Swinney and what he's coming out with, he is establishment, Mr. Establishment. We're talking UK. He's Mr. UK Establishment, right? That's why we need rid of him, right? The Greens, you're saying, are also establishment as well, yes?
No.
What are you saying?
No, I'm not even saying Swinney's the establishment. I'm
yeah.
talking basic politics here. The Greens, after being in government for a wee bit, think they've got the SNP by the balls. They obviously think the SNP can negotiate a budget settlement with everybody else. And they're right.
Yeah.
And they're right.
Yeah.
So, as we've already spoke about, this could herald in an early election.
Why? Yes, I'll go into that. I did go into that. But SNP at the moment, establishment, I'm in lockstep with the UK. That's
quantify that with the term "you believe."
Yeah, I do. After seeing Swinney's speech the other week there, seriously, that is definitely Mr. Lockstep with the UK.
Well,
get rid of it.
I am of a different opinion, David. I am of the opinion that John is a gradualist, and he believes he can wheedle one power after another out of the UK until they become irrelevant.
Yeah. He's irrelevant, in my opinion.
Well, at this point in time, as we up with the budget, they're all relevant. As you know, David, Scottish political news at this point in time is very light on the ground.
Yeah.
They would like us to think that that place along that road does nothing.
Yeah.
At this point in time. So if you're not wanting to actually sit down and tune into the committees, the debates in the Scottish Parliament, the bills that are being presented to the Scottish Parliament, if you're not wanting to sit down and actually watch that for yourself, then you would think there is nothing happening here in Scotland.
But right. The point of the matter is that at the moment we have a legislature in Scotland that potentially they can bring out anything they like, and it gets knocked down by a Section 35. Yeah, am I right?
Well, we'll get to that. But aye, there is a section for everything. Yeah. There's an override for everything in Scotland Act. Of course there is. So the Greens have become a real pain in the arse for the SNP.
Oh, yeah.
And people, I would be prepared for an early election next year. And I don't think the SNP is battle ready for it.
They're not.
The only thing they've got in their favour right now is the fact that Labour are doing fucking miserably.
Well, but hang on a second. You get up to that point. Let's say there is an election next year, right? You can bet the Labour will try and be ready for it. The SNP are nowhere.
Labour are already campaigning for the next Scottish election. They're having a hard time at the moment, but they are. Now, this budget tomorrow may change things or may make it worse for Labour. On Wednesday. We'll wait and find out.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll no doubt be talking about it on Thursday through the Scottish prospectus, how it affects us here in Scotland, because obviously income tax, she's not going to change the threshold for an additional 2 years, which means the fiscal drag gets bigger and longer. But apart from that, the threshold for entrance into tax, the tax thing doesn't really apply very much to us in that aspect. But of course, there's national insurance contributions, there's pensions, all these things that's going to be affected by what happens on Wednesday. So we'll talk about it on Thursday, of course.
Yeah.
But as I say, the Greens have become a real pain in the SNP side. And I guess we can thank Hoover for that.
Yes, we can, yes.
On the National Care Service, It had been booted into the long grass until after the next election anyway.
Yeah.
Because of current fiscal constraints. So I don't know if it's that relevant at this point in time. Because it wasn't getting off the ground, as you pointed out, David. It was been a bloody embarrassment. It was ready to go a few years ago, as you know, in the council, and the trade unions kicked it. And that was it. That was a direct attack from unionists.
And the people that work in that industry that are providing the service of like changing a bed for somebody that's bedridden or whatever, right? These people, if you speak to them, and I got a chance to speak to quite a number of them, right, said we want the National Care Service because it would give them a clear. Some of them would remain at the bottom, but would give them a clear path for improvement, if you like.
And we talked about standardised service, meaning training and
right.
And things like that. We spoke about all that to say the point is with the Greens withdrawing their support for it, it's supposed to be a slap in the face to the SNP, but at this point in time, it wasn't going to happen. And even then, because of the internal market bill, you probably found a way to veto it anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, let me just tell you one situation, right? I had one of the caregivers that had to come and cover my mother-in-law for one evening, right? And she was there on the proviso that she got a lift home. I ended up giving her a lift home. And she lived at the far end of Alexandria, which was, if you imagine on a nighttime pickup, you're going from Clydebank to Alexandria, good drive and back, right? And that was because they had no other way of providing transport for somebody in that situation. If we had a national care service, that would be dealt with.
But I say the standardised system, but we don't need to get into the details of it.
Yeah.
What the Greens did was supposed to be a political attack or a slap in the face to the SNP. Because the idea was floated when they were in coalition with the SNP, and now they're out of the coalition, just another slap on the SNP. As I say, as for the budget thing, get ready for an election. Yeah. Right, let's move on, David, because time's pushing on. Coatbridge couple get the go-ahead to take the Scottish Government and the UK Government to court over the scrapping of the universal winter fuel payment. The basis for the case is that there was no consultation, apparently, with people of pension age, and that no equalities impact assessment was done. In other words, how dangerous is this policy to the life of certain people and things like that. Okay, now Peter and Florence Fanning, their court will be taken. They're the ones that are taking the Scottish Government and the UK Government court. The Good Law Project is representing them. Not a Good Law Project, sorry, the Govern Law Project is representing them. And they've actually been given the go-ahead for this judicial review.
Yeah.
And it will be held on the 15th of January 2025. And if it's successful, Westminster and the Scottish Government will need to reverse that decision for at least this year anyway, until a consultation takes place and an equalities impact assessment is done.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about it is the judicial review is happening in Scotland. But even though that judicial review is happening in Scotland, if the Court of Session rules in favour, then the UK government will have to scrap the policy. Which
right. Now, you and I are always good at saying that Scottish law is the same level as English law. Yeah?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
However, what they've got in the back of there is the King Henry VIII powers that sit there in the House of Westminster, right? Now, the House of Parliament. That to me says that they can overcome anything they want to. King Henry VIII powers is the ultimate weapon that any government could possibly have.
Well,
So they're talking about the winning in the Scottish court, right? And then forcing the English court to say, "Oh, that we agree with that because it's Scottish court," right? But then you're expecting the government of the day, that's Labour, to say, right, fine, okay, we'll give in to that because it's a ruling in the Scottish court. Nah, won't happen. Won't happen. I'll be very, very surprised if they win in the Scottish court and that forces the government of the UK to change anything they're doing whatsoever.
Well,
my opinion, yet again.
That's how the union's set up, David.
Do you want to know something? It has changed. It has all changed since they brought in the King Henry VIII powers. Yeah?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way things are set up. If the Supreme Court in Scotland makes a ruling, then Westminster's supposed to abide by it.
They won't abide by it. Simple as that.
Well, that'll be interesting for when this case is heard.
Yeah.
If they are successful, we'll see whether Westminster will abide by the Scottish Court and abide by convention, which has been there since the agreement of the Treaty of Union.
But we've got all sorts of things that have usurped the Treaty of Union all the way along, right? This is just one extra. That's all it is. One extra instance where...
David, it will be interesting to see what the reaction is if they decide to ignore the Scottish Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Because that could be another constitutional wrangle.
Yeah. But we've had others in the past where the Westminster have not done as expected legally. You know, the situation that we're in with the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court made a judgment on an international treaty when they do not have the competence to hold that.
No, David, that's not what they did.
Well, you tell me then. What did they do?
What they did was interpret the 1998 Scotland Act.
But the thing is, though, the most important thing is that what they were eventually doing, finally, what they were doing was they were saying that Scotland is not allowed to have a referendum, right? Now you're saying that what they did was they interpreted the rules of the 1998 Scotland Act, right? Effectively, what they were doing was they were discussing matters of the Treaty of Union at the end of it, right? And they did not have the competence to handle any case that even impinged on the Treaty of Union.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
It had nothing to do with the Treaty of Union at all. And the opinion was sought by the Scottish Government.
In actual fact, if you listen back to the findings, what they talked about, they actually mentioned the treaty in several places on that finding. They did not have the competence, David. You might disagree with that, but they did not have the competence to come out with that kind of deal. Because
the premise of your argument is absolutely correct. But the problem was they've only gone looking for a decision on an international treaty. Nicola Sturgeon was going for an interpretation of the Scotland Act.
But it's the same thing at the end of it. When you look at the actual outcome of it, it is the same thing. And it's the fact that the court in question did not have the competence to handle that.
Beside the point, the Scottish Government asked for an opinion from the Supreme Court, and it got an opinion from the Supreme Court based on the 1998 Scotland Act.
But you can see that effectively it's the same thing.
But you can also see the argument of the agreement there.
But, David, we can agree to disagree here, obviously, right? As we do usually, right? But in that situation, you have got an entire country.
We're at it, David. We're at it. Let's clear something else up for everybody else. Take.
Go on then.
The Supreme Court gave Nicola Sturgeon what she asked for, an opinion. She didn't have to fucking abide by it.
Aye, true. Absolutely. But it was taken.
An opinion that was asked for by the Scottish Government. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't a legal ruling. It was an opinion.
No, but on the days and weeks leading up to that, we had the things that the English government were throwing into the case and all the rest of it, right? You saw, and then the day the opinion was given, right? Effectively, that was like the Brexit. Brexit was supposed to be a referendum that gauged the effect on the people, right? The consultative, right? But it was taken to be as in tablets of stone. It's the same with this, and that's a fact that I tell you that court, the Supreme Court, do not have the competence to hear anything that even slightly impinges on an international treaty, such as the one that exists between England and
asked an opinion on the 1998 Scotland Act. That was it.
But the thing is, though, in asking that opinion, she brought forth a situation where everybody, all the Westminster boards in England went, well, there you go. That's it. You can't have a referendum.
She didn't have to accept the opinion that was given.
But the thing is, she did.
Aye.
Because the other side were saying, well, that's it. It's like the 2014, it's like the referendum. Oh, you can't, give me Badenoch, right? She said, we've already asked the question. And the people of Scotland have said that we want to remain part of the Union.
Yeah, but guys,
10 years ago.
A decade ago.
Yeah, I know.
Now, let's make this clear. Right? The premise of your case is your argument that they're no competent. I agree with.
Yeah.
But it was based on a request from the Scottish Government. Remember that?
But it was the request was made to the wrong place.
Of course.
A request should have been made to an international court.
But that was only if you were disputing the treaty. That wasn't what was being done. Nicola Sturgeon asked for an interpretation of a law.
Yeah, but we all knew what it concerned. That was the point.
I know.
We all knew what it concerned.
David, as I say, I mean, I agree with you all the way that court's not competent to deal with a dispute in an international treaty. But that just wasn't where it was. Now, we've got 170 on YouTube and 12 on Facebook. There you go.
That's interesting.
182 watching the show live at the moment. Right, where were we? Oh, aye. Now, in a related issue, David, John Swinney announces that Scotland's ban on single-use vapes will be kicked into the long grass to be in line with Westminster.
Will you still get that cake in there?
Yep.
Hi, Leslie. Right, we've got super chat, and Scotland plays by the rules, but Westminster don't have any. We need to play the same game.
Correct. Absolutely. Do you want to know something there? That's the bit that I'm pushing for, is that in order for us to become independent, same as America. The American legislature now, when you look at them, they broke all the rules. They broke laws in order to become independent. It's only the laws of the other side that we would be breaking.
Right, when D-Docs put up Sturgeon soldiers out, well, D-Doc, to a degree, you're right. Because when the Edinburgh Agreement was signed, that was an agreement that said that, yep, they have reserved our constitution, and it is their right. So, there you go. But that goes a wee bit further into it. So, Miss Sturgeon and both her and Alex signed that agreement. So, technically, you're dead right. Right now, as I say, Scotland did delay a single-use vape ban so that it's in line with England. So, England's expected to announce its vape ban at this budget, maybe, or just a bit after it, and it's expected it'll be introduced 15 months down the road. Whereas Scotland was ready to just announce it, it'll happen. Now, why is it that Swinney's kicked it into the long grass, David?
Dead simple. Because he knows fine well that he's not going to get it through. He knows he's not going to get it through. Super chat from
Alistair, he says it's a fun drive time show today, Davies. Aye, drive time show today. But anyway, to say, you're right, David, he wasn't going to get it through. Why? He'd be given the heads up by Wee Murray, Internal Market Act, Section 35, no getting sick.
There's no way that the Holyrood can put forward whatever legislation they want. If it doesn't suit the Westminster, then it's going to be knocked out from a Section 35 order. Something like that. And we have no choice. The only way to fix it, independence. But won't happen at the moment. Won't happen until people of Scotland feel some pain. Unfortunately, that's just the truth of it.
Mark Telfer says Swinney might be a decent First Minister post-independence, but no one the run up yet. Right. They say the whole point is, folks, the Internal Market Bill would have meant that Scotland had taken English single-use vape producers out the market 15 months earlier than England would have. That would have disadvantaged those English sellers in the market as well as Scottish producers. But it would disadvantage the English producers for 15 months. And that can't be allowed. That imbalance in the market can't be allowed. That was the whole point of the Internal Market Bill. So the Internal Market Bill, as I have stated on many occasions, David, was the final piece of the puzzle to totally control absolutely everything to do with devolved matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything to do with devolved matters. So that was interesting.
But you have to remember, who brought forth the Internal Market Bill? It wasn't Labour.
No, it was the Tories.
It wasn't Labour. It was the Tories. Of course.
But who did they oppose the Internal Market Bill when it was never fucking necessary? Labour did they oppose it.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate that. As far as I'm concerned, the whole fucking lot of them bastards down in Westminster, right? And I'm talking about Labour and Conservative. This has been something that's been worked out over a long period of time, and it's been worked out on a gentleman's agreement, handshakes, all the rest of it, you name it. But I tell you what, Scotland wants rid of that lot as quick as possible.
Who said? Who said Scotland wants rid of that lot as quick as possible?
Me.
No, but that's you and me. There's another 2.4 millionaires out there, 5.4 millionaires out there. And according to opinion polls, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So to state that Scotland wants away from these people quickly is incorrect. Actually, if we look at Poland, people don't want a referendum for 5-10 years. Because people are frightened of the economic situation as it is, rather than having the kahunas to say, well, we don't have the power to change it within this particular setup, so let's take it into our own hands and change it that way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not the case here. So when we see the people of Scotland want to get away from these people as quick as possible, no, they don't. Only 50% is at any one point in time wants to get away from. And until that changes, and apparently it is not, apparently support is decreasing, if you believe the opinion polls, and as it's not actually a topic which is in our politics at the moment, that's to be expected.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we better move on and have a look at, of course, the big stories. You know, the Scotland stuff, that's just wee stories, you know, that's the news where you are. So you've had the news where you are, now it's time for the colonial news. Anyway, it would appear that one of our colonial masters and the Red Tories, the new administration, Wes Streeton, is cock of the walk because apparently his department is getting an extra 10 billion quid.
That's billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Other way. Yeah.
So he's walking about, chest puffed out, fucking idiot, doesn't realise the other policies that are being brought in by his Chancellor means that the net worth of that 10 billion by the time he gets it into his department is 1.7 billion.
Now, how does that come about? Come on, how can 10 billion end up as 1.7 billion, David?
Well, a better man than me, gone get in, did the sums. A guy called Professor Richard Murphy, he seems to know what he's talking about, this guy. Yeah. And he explained it. Because with the NI hike on national insurance for employers, the NI hike on national insurance for employers, pension contributions, inflation, and the fiscal drag, meaning pay rises, by the time this money hits the front line, Rachel Reeves will already have clawed almost all of it back, 6.7 billion.
Yeah.
The rest of it, you have to equate inflation and that into it. And the inflationary effects of the last couple of years owing costs to the National Health Service. So the net increase to spend in the NHS in England will be 1.7 billion.
But of that 1.7 billion, let's say it was used, right? Get a tax back anyway.
Aye,
doesn't it? Yeah. It's like if tomorrow we arranged to give everybody in the United Kingdom universal basic income, right? Of like what, £1,200 a month, £1,500 a month. By the time you have sent out that money, you're already getting back the majority of it anyway. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, anyway, to say, Streeton's walking about as if he's just hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
But other policies which we're being told are going to happen in this budget actually takes most of it back to the Chancellor via the NI contributions. Now, 1.7 billion, that's only enough to keep still.
Yeah.
10 billion with the group, if he had the whole 10 billion to spend into NHS, but I say because of the tax changes that are coming and inflationary pressures, the fiscal drag, bringing more people into a higher tax as they get their pay rise and things like that. All this appears in a puff of smoke.
Right, now stop there, right? They're taking it Wes Streeton as advisors, of course he does, right? Would they not be aware of this?
I don't know. That's a headline. And it's probably for the public eye. Streeton's probably aware of this, aye. See, the headline figure, the bit that he's boasting about, 10 billion going into the NHS, an extra 10 billion into the NHS, that's just that. It's a headline figure for the public. You know, he won't be aware of all the things that are being done in the background, which is going to claw that back.
No, but not just that. Not just that. We go back to the Health and Social Care Bill 2012,
Aye.
where it was meant that any monies that got pumped into the NHS
Could be
went to the private sector,
Yep.
right? So that 10 billion, you're talking about bringing down 1.7 billion. That 1.7 billion that makes its way through into the NHS, well, a lot of that will go into the private sector anyway.
Aye, more likely. More than likely. Anyway, as I say, if you want to see the breakdown by Professor Murphy, you'll get it on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I do suggest that everybody listens to Professor Murphy, and also have a listen to Richard Murphy and his vlog, where he produces one called Rachel Reeves, Get Your Sums Right.
Aye.
And that is an eye-opener. It really is.
Right, let's move on because time is moving on. Starmer's speech today on tax rises to prevent austerity. This is putting lipstick on a fucking pig here. Winter fuel payment. That's austerity. Two-child cap. That's austerity. Whacking the mentally ill to get them back into work. That's austerity.
Yeah.
Having to spring fuel or prison because you can't build enough to keep them all in.
Yep.
That'd be austerity. I mean, this is fucking lipstick in a pig. You know that? And raising taxes to prevent austerity. What the headline should say is raising taxes to prevent austerity.
Yes.
That's more like, you know. But,
Starmer is putting through as many of the austerity programs that the Conservatives had, and adding a few more.
Aye.
That's it. You know.
Now, apparently, David, that 22 billion black hole is a 40 billion black hole. Every time I hear about this black hole, it gets fucking bigger. Thanks, Graham. That's
No,
totally generous.
the 40 billion. I listened to a chap being interviewed on that the other day there, right? And that 40 billion figure has just been dreamt up. We are being told these things to make us scared.
That's true.
If you listen to the Professor Richard Murphy in his blog called Rachel Reeves, Get Your Sums Right, he explains it all, right? And there's no reason that anybody in the UK should be worried. Anybody in the UK, not just Scotland, but anybody in the UK should be worried about money.
Well,
because
it's interesting is we were talking about the scrapping of the winter fuel payment earlier on, and the national insurance situation. I went and said to you that the National Insurance Fund has a surplus of over 500 billion quid.
Yeah. Yep.
And that money is being invested, and it's making money. And the UK withdraws that money.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Yep. Now, the fact of the matter is that we now have a situation where we are being lied to about the finances of the United Kingdom, and the reason we're being attacked in that way is that do they reach?
Okay.
The only reason I'm doing that is because it makes them easy to get the austerity policies through and create more money for the elite.
Well, as I say, this idea of 40 billion black hole is fucking, every time you look around, this black hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know.
I know.
It's about fear. And the truth of it is, of course, you know, there is no real worry about a collapse at this point in time. We've got enough assets to cover any money we can.
See the old people that are on basic state pension, right? And they're not getting their winter fuel payment this year, right? Don't worry. I've said it before on here, right? And it's like, let the police come to my door or whatever, right? If you need to turn on that heating, turn on that electric fire, whatever you need to do it, because you ain't going to jail. Simple as that. You ain't going to jail. Look what they're doing with people in jail at the moment. They're letting them go because there isn't enough space. So do you think they're going to fill it up with old people? No, they're not. Right?
UK government gave $9 billion in the first quarter of 2024 from national insurance and investments alone. So there you go.
Yeah.
Enough to cover the pension bill. No bother.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, just the way it is. You know, it's a lot of bollocks. You know, and this idea that there could ever be a black hole is a lot of bollocks.
Watch Richard Murphy. Rachel Reeves, get your sums right, is a hell of a thing to watch. But you're going to have to have a strong cup of coffee while you're watching it.
Anyway, Jeremy Hunt, let's move on. Jeremy Hunt, this is the headline today, David. This one cracked me up. We had to talk about it.
No. It's Jeremy Cunt. That's his proper name.
Okay, I'll do this. Have a life, dear boy. Anyway, Jeremy Hunt says the OBR is biased towards Labour Chancellor Rachel Reeves. And that's because apparently the OBR has made up a set of figures that allows her to borrow 50 billion quid by changing the fiscal rules a wee bit, just tweaking them. And it's
but the OBR are conservative through and through. So what's Jeremy Hunt, you say his name is, right? What did he think he's saying about a conservative think tank, the OBR, set up by George Osborne, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, when David Cameron, call me Dave, was in power? Come on.
No, I don't. Super chat I missed. What's this one go? Would be Art Degree Reeves, who claims to have worked at the Bank of Scotland as an economist, but in fact she was a support administrator. Now there you go, class action. Thanks very much for that information. Right. Anyway, I just thought we would bring this one up, David, because I knew you would find that quite funny. You know, Tory think tank is a bias towards so-called Labour Chancellor. But at this point in time, I don't think there's any difference between one or the other. You know?
Yeah.
Now, as for tweaking or changing the fiscal rules to allow it to borrow, fiscal rules are just, we keep talking about this. David, you made up your own fiscal rule. Anybody with a £20 note in their pocket has to give you a tenner. That's a fucking fiscal rule. That's how farcical it is.
It's me that gets a tenner. It's me that gets a tenner. That's a fiscal rule.
Fucking mental cases. Fiscal rules. There's such thing as a fiscal rule. She wants a Bank of England to print her money. Hey, hello, Bank of England, we own you, by the way. Print me some fucking money, thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Exactly.
And then I'm the government. I then spend it on something that the country needs. And while spending it, people get paid wages, and I tax it fucking back. People buy food, I tax it back. People buy petrol, I tax it back. People buy clothes for adults, I tax it back. Fiscal rules my arse. And then, of course, I've already spoke about David when it comes to fiscal rules and a government spending. The interesting thing about, especially when you spend on infrastructure, the interesting thing about spending on infrastructure is, you haven't spent a penny, you've got a fucking asset.
That's right. It's like asking somebody, if you won £1 million on the lottery, what do you spend it on? You say, well, I'd buy a big house. You haven't spent it. It's an asset. Right? You know.
Fiscal rules, fucking fiscal rules. That's mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental. Right, well, we've got a couple of minutes left, so I think we'll just leave it on the comedy here.
Yep.
You know, we were going to talk about the Labour MP who got suspended for the party for beating the shit out of somebody in Cheshire. But we'll give that a pass. And no time to talk about the butcher in Tel Aviv or the madman in fucking Moscow. So that's what we've got here today, folks.
Yep.
If they stop waving my hands about, that's Trump's game, is it? Okay, I'll stop moving my hands about. I'm a bit like the Italian. I'm quite expressive with my hands when it comes to speech. You know. So that's what we've got for you today, folks. And when we come back Thursday, I suppose we'll get through the budget a bit, David.
Aye. But we've got two things, if you like. 5th of November, which is your birthday, right?
Aye.
The Guy Fawkes.
That's much very important in the US election.
We've got the American election taking place, and I thought, when's the budget taking place? This week.
Aye, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Talk about it Thursday.
So talk about it Thursday, and then forget Monday. We'll talk about something on Monday. Then next Thursday it'll be the American election. We'll see what's happened there.
As I say about, sorry America, your election just isn't as important as my fucking birthday.
Hey, it's neck and neck at the moment.
Well, my birthday in America is fucking presidential race. No, it's not for me. My birthday's way out in front. Right, folks. Thanks for your kind contributions to the Food Bank Fund. I am on getting your money out the door. It is in.
Yep.
So I am on getting your money out the door. And thanks for joining such great numbers. There was at the peak there was 196. We're dropping rapidly as we're rounding up. Thanks to the moderators. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe.
Yeah, please.
And hit the like button, because that makes a difference to the algorithm. Now, we're on a push to get 3,000 subscribers by Christmas, if we can. That means all you people with children, grandchildren, and everything else like that, go get them and hit subscribe, even if they don't watch. It all helps. Yeah. Mr. E, are you mental? Wow. Mr. E, you're a star. Wow.
Oh, what the heck?
You're going to be offline for a bit. Take care. You look after yourself, Mr. E, and thank you very much before you go.
Yeah.
Geez, folks. You guys are the best.
Yes, exactly. But the good thing is, imagine the faces and the feelings of food banks and pay banks that we hand over the money to.
Aye.
And it really, it honestly makes a big difference. It might not be much, but £250 each time we do it, but it does make an immense difference. It's a good shop, if you like, so.
Aye. It does help. It helps a lot. Right, folks, as I say, before Mr. E brought us straight back, we were on our way out the door. So that just leaves us one thing left to say, David.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.
Bye, David. Now, I'll see you all tomorrow morning, and David will see you on Thursday. Bye for now.